Welcome everyone to Raw Dog Game Reviews. I'm the Raw Dog, and this is what we do here at Raw Dog Game Reviews. I'm going to review a game I recently played. But here's the catch. There's no script and no editing. I'm just going to ramble on my review for the game, off the top of my head, off the cuff if you will. Now that that's out of the way, let's get to it, and let's go in Raw Dog. Okay, so this time we're talking about Digimon Survive. Now, I'm a little late to the party on this one because I decided to not buy it day one because money and things. So I'm a little late to the party. But I love Digimon, and if you've seen some of my other reviews, you know I love turn-based strategy. So this was on my list to definitely get and definitely play. And guess what? I loved it. It was awesome. Now I don't have a first impression for this one because I just kind of blazed right through it and really enjoyed it. So this game is amazing. I really enjoyed it. It's a great turn-based strategy. It's a lot of fun. It's also a visual novel, just in case you know that. And the story is heavy, and there's a lot. But there's a lot of gameplay too, and that makes it kind of worth it and makes the gameplay work. Like, the only thing I would say that's a problem is that the game is kind of grind heavy. Like, I grinded a lot, and I enjoy grinding in turn-based strategies. In honestly any game. But so I feel like if I didn't grind, if I wasn't one of those people that enjoyed grinding, I would have had more problems with the game and had much more trouble finishing it in the late game. But because I grinded heavily, I found no problem with the game, and I just wiped the floor with it most of the time and had a good time playing it. So on that note, I would say be wary and be ready to grind because it's a grind heavy game. But for me, and if you're the same kind of person I am, you can put it on auto. When you're going to combat, there's a little button that says auto, and you can put it on full power and auto, and just let the game do the combat for you. I did that a lot. Now, I'm one of those people that I used to look at people and give them the stink eye when they're like, I put my game on auto. It's like, oh, so you just didn't want to actually play the game. But now, you know what? I got a lot of things to do in my life. I'm busy. I'm a busy person. So I definitely used auto. And I found it awesome to be able to just sit back, read the storyline, and then be like, okay, cool. So I'm in like the third chapter. The enemies are pretty high level. I'm going to go ahead and grind like 20 levels. Cool. I'm going to go and grind 20 levels. So go into the combat, auto. Okay, let's go do something else. Come back 5 minutes later. Combat finished, cool. Goes to next combat, auto. Okay, go do something else for 5 minutes. Yeah, it helped me get through my day without having to and still be able to grind and do things at the same time. It's really accessible that way. So even if you're not big into grinding, the grind is really easy because you'll level up pretty much as long as you're not too OP leveled, you're gonna level up once, at least once every combat. And that helps the grind go a lot faster. I was leveling up at least once for every fight. And you get crystals that you can attach to your Digimon to make them get more experience. So if you have Digimon that are further back that you want to level up more, you can equip them with that, and you'll level them up even faster. So yeah, there are definitely ways to start to get leveled up really fast, and you level up really quickly, and you level every fight pretty much. You'll know that you're getting to the point of being OP and not needing to grind anymore when you stop leveling every fight. If you're still leveling up from every single fight you do, then you can still keep grinding. Once it's like, okay, I didn't level up from this fight, maybe you can do like one more fight and then level up, and you're like, okay. When it starts getting to the point where you're like 3 or 4 battles and not leveling up, then you probably just know that you can stop. But then again, if you have other Digimon that are in your team that are lower, that you want to keep grinding up, and they're still leveling up from every fight, then just keep going. Just keep going until you get your team at a solid, around about equal level. And like my entire team was like about in the 80s or 90s by the time I was done. So yeah, you can round your team up, and that helps with the grind because obviously like, well, this guy's not done grinding yet. This guy is already super high leveled in the 80s, but so he's getting like he's leveling up like once every 10 fights. But this guy over here is sitting over here in the 60s, and he's still leveling up every single fight. So I mean, why not? Why not just keep grinding? Because this one's leveling up like crazy. So yeah. Anyway, the game is really good. The story is fun, and the grind is not that bad. So let's get into the nitty gritty here. Graphics. Well, it's a Digimon game, and it's cel shaded, it's anime, and the cutscenes are all visual novels, so they're basically just static pictures where there's a lot of text. So the graphics aren't heavy, obviously, but I mean, if you're into that kind of graphics, which I am, I love anime, I love all that stuff, then it's gonna be fine. You're gonna enjoy it. The game looks good. Like the models for the Digimon look nice. They look crisp. They move really well on the screen. They do a lot of fun things when you're fighting with them. So I mean, like the game looks good for what the game is and for what the game is doing. It looks perfectly good. So as long as you go in expecting that and you look at a trailer or like look at some screenshots and you think like, oh yeah, this is the kind of art style I like, then you're gonna like it. It's fine. The graphic. You're probably not a big graphical person if you're sitting there playing a visual novel, Digimon anime game. So yeah, the graphics are good. Now, the story. The story is fun. I liked it. Well, maybe I should use the word fun. The story is sad and tragic, but it's a good story. It's an enjoyable story. It's a good story. I found it really interesting and a lot of fun to play with. Now, you definitely to get the true ending, you have to play at least 2 times. I only played 2 times. I got more things to do on my plate, but I got the true ending, and it's cool. And plus, because it's a really story-heavy game, because it's a visual novel, the second time you go through, you can skip a ton of dialogue because pretty much like 90% of the dialogue is overused. It's reused content. So you could just sit there with the skip button on and it goes boom. Oh, here's a question that they didn't ask last time. New answer. Boom. Like it just skips over everything. And then you put the game on auto for combat, and you're just your second run through the game is going to be like a couple hours at best. Where your first run through the game is going to be like 10, 20 hours because it's going to take you a while to read all the story if you're really interested in it, and the combat themselves can be a little bit long sometimes. So yeah. The good thing though is that every combat does not take a super long time, and the grind is accessible. So I have played some visual novel turn-based strategies where every combat is taking you like 5-10 minutes, and you need like 20 battles to level up like a standard RPG game. And it's like, are you kidding me? I need 20 battles to level up, and every battle takes like 10 minutes. I need like 200 minutes to level up once. Yeah, I put that game down and I walked away. So this game is definitely manageable in comparison. Now, gameplay. Here we go. Actually, no, I can go deeper into the story. Let's go deeper into the story for another minute because the story is pretty good. So yes, you follow kids. If you know the story of Digimon, you know the story of this. You follow some kids that are on a camping trip and they get schlooped into the digital world, and they have digital partners and all this stuff, and and they have to save the digital world and save the real world at the same time. It's a very basic Digimon story, which is good because I like Digimon story. So it's very basic, but it's very good. And it's also a very interesting story. It has a lot of twists and turns in it. I won't spoil them entirely, but I mean, they're kind of easy to see coming. Honestly, there are some characters that aren't exactly who they seem to be, and some characters that are you think they're good, but they're actually evil. There's characters that are evil. You think that are good. Yeah, it's a really interesting plot line, and also the way that they work how your Digimon evolve is really cool. Like they work on your feelings and how you run the morale system through the game. You can answer harmonious, morale, or wrathful. And morale is basically just being the moral compass. If you're the moral compass of the group, you're going to evolve this way. If you're trying to be like, hey guys, we all need to work together in harmony, you're gonna evolve a different way. And if you're trying to be like, shut the heck up, man, I'm angry, then you're gonna evolve a different way. So for my route, I went harmony the first route, and then I went moral for the second route because moral is the true route. So if you're gonna play the game and get the true ending, I recommend if you're gonna do 3 runs to get all of the endings, then I recommend doing actually maybe not all the endings technically because there is a non-true ending moral route. But anyway, if you're gonna try to go for like the most complete version of the game and the fastest route, which is 3 playthroughs, then I would recommend Wrathful. Well, maybe not Wrathful for the start, because Wrathful is apparently the hardest route. I recommend Harmony, wrathful than moral, because moral is the true route, or it ends up being the true route. So you might as well say that for the last one, because it's going to be the true route anyway. So, but yeah, it's the evolutions are really nice. I saw some evolutions I never saw before. I had a lot of fun time with that. Now, you are the Agumon line. You are the Greymon line. The main character is the Agumon. He's the Greymon. So that's all there is to it. It's a standard Digimon. He has the Agumon, and he's going to wreck it up with the Agumon. Now, the one thing that we got to remember, okay, let's go into gameplay. One thing you got to remember about the gameplay is that characters can die. Depending on where you go in the plot line, depending if you're not in the true route, characters will die. But the one character that will not die is the main character with this Agumon. He will not die. And no matter what you do, no matter what route you take, that Agumon will always be with you, and he will always kick butt. So, with that being point, you find a whole bunch of little stat boosters, just feed them to Agumon. Feed every single, don't balance out your team, I'm serious. Feed everything to Agumon, because he will never betray you. He will never be against you. He will always be on your side. He will always be in your team, no matter what you do. Well, okay, there is one combat where like Agumon's not in your team for like the first few turns if you do something. I won't spoil that, but there's only one combat that does that. But yeah, for pretty much the entire game, Agumon will be in your team, always on your side, and always kicking butt. So just give him all the stat boosts, because he will then be able to wreck everything. I did so much damage with my Agumon by the end of the game that he was just soloing bosses. And I'm pretty sure he's the reason why I beat the game at a lower level with the grinding that I did, because honestly, sometimes the bosses like wrecked me a little bit, and I was like, oh man, am I going to be able to do this? And then Agumon walked up and was like, slash! And the guy just like lost half the HP in one hit. I was like, oh, I can do this. So, yeah. Make your Agumon the ridiculous tank that he is. Anyway, the rest of the gameplay is pretty solid. Now, my recommendations is I would go for a team mostly of movement type Digimon, because movement is key in the game, although movement type Digimon are also kind of weak. So obviously the best ones to go for are all-rounders, because all-rounders are the all-rounders. They're the best type, same type Agumon is. So in the end, he's kind of your best bet, but you're obviously not going to be able to find a whole bunch of all-rounders and not be able to stack your team with them. So I recommend movements. Movement types are really good because, like I said, they have movement. The placement in this game is of the utmost importance. Beyond anything else, placement is so big. Now, I like placement. I like the idea of it. There aren't a lot of turn-based strategies that make placement matter. In this game, it matters a lot. If you are attacking an enemy from the front, you do standard damage. If you are attacking an enemy from the side, you do like 1.5 damage. If you are attacking an enemy from the back, you do double damage. I think it's something like that. I don't have the actual numbers, but it's at least definitely something like that. So it is ridiculously easy to get destroyed and to destroy your enemies by using placement. Because so the strategy in this game is heavily on strategy. You gotta know where you're placing your mons, and you gotta know how to work them, because you just gotta know. If you place them wrong, if you put one here and turn them around so they're facing the wrong direction, and now suddenly they have an enemy on both sides and behind them that they just got attacked 3 times from the left side, right side, and the back, they're gonna get wiped out in an instant. No matter what Digimon it was, no matter who attacked them, they're gonna get wiped out pretty much in that turn because of how much damage it deals. Like my Agumon, who was beefed up, level 85 something, by the end of the game, would get wrecked by a group of enemies who were on left, right, and back, because that's just how much damage it does. The game does not play around with how much damage you get hit by, which is kind of interesting because the health items themselves are plentiful, but healing spells are not plentiful. Like you get one character that does a healing move, but then when you evolve that character, they don't have a healing move anymore. So you either got to keep them always devolved, or you got to give them a healing crystal so they can use a healing skill on the side, but then you're wasting a space with that healing crystal when you could be using that space. Wait, you get 2 spaces, but still, you could be using that space for another crystal that ups their power, ups their defense. So
Or you could just use healing items. The healing items also aren't that good. Like they're usually lower grade. They heal less. So the game really hits you hard. Like if you're not expecting it, if you're not gonna be careful about your placement, you're gonna get wrecked really quickly. But the game also kind of teaches you and kind of like eases you into that. With the first combats, you kind of can see, and also permadeath is not a thing. Yes, characters do die, but they die from the storyline and from certain parts in the game and certain parts of the plot, not from dying in combat. Permadeath is a thing in a lot of turn-based strategies. It is not a thing in this game. You do not have to be scared of going, oh my god, I lost my Biomon. You will never lose your Biomon. It will always be there in the next combat. It's fine. It just died during that combat. It's not gone forever. There is no permadeath in this game. So you're perfectly allowed to like send your Digimon to their ultimate death by being suicide attacks. I did that sometimes. But anyway, the point I'm trying to get at is that the game does kind of ease you in at first. You get used to the combat, get used to the placement, and you're able to work it out. So the gameplay is really solid. You can all of the partner Digimon have to evolve on their turns, and you can evolve and de-evolve and work around and see what Digimon you want to use, what you don't want to use. The wild Digimon that you have to befriend, I don't want to say catch, you have to befriend and use on your team, they only evolve in the menu, and once they're evolved, they say evolve, period. I had a bunch of them that worked really nicely. So it depends on what you want to do with your team, because also you have to remember that the partner Digimon, when they evolve in combat, they're going to be sapping their SP every turn, which SP is how you do skills too. So that skill bar is going to keep draining every turn. But when you use wild Digimon, their SP does not go down. They're just evolved, period. So sometimes they're kind of more useful and seem like they're more powerful because you don't have to worry about their SP constantly draining. But anyway, to continue that point, SP is awesome and refills, and so HP also refills after every combat. So you never have to worry about completely going nuts in the combat. Like I said, you just tap auto attack full power because it's not like you're going to waste your moves. You're not going to waste your SP. Next battle, you're going to have full SP again. So just go ahead, use all your strongest moves, use all your crazy things in the combat. Don't sit back and be like, oh, I need to save this for later. You don't need to save that for later. You will replenish next combat. It's fine. But yeah, again, like the game teaches you all these things. So the game is really good. The gameplay is solid. So I'm gonna wrap it up here and say yes, the game is really good. I love turn-based strategies. The game is really fun. There are a lot of good long-range moves. There are a lot of, like I said, movement is key. Some characters can move 3, 4, 5, 10 movement in a turn. Like, it's ridiculous. Movement is key. But anyway, yeah, the game is good. It's a solid game. I definitely highly recommend it. If you're a fan of turn-based strategies, you'll love it. If you're a fan of Digimon, you'll love it. If you're an anime fan in general, you'll probably like it. So I highly recommend this game to people that like those things. And yeah, that's that.
Okay, well, that was my raw review. Thanks for listening, and if you liked it and want to hear more, you can like and subscribe. But I'll be back here regardless whether you like it or not, with more raw dog gaming reviews. See you next time. Bye-bye!